true yogi. Thank you so much, Michelle. I wrote that bio, but I want her to like walk around and just give me that bio every time, or that introduction every time I'm anywhere, because she just does it really, really well. So as Michelle said, my name is Ava. I am a meditation instructor and the host of the Alchemize Life podcast. And to be honest, when I had signed up to be a presenter here back in maybe March or April, I was a completely different person. And as I stand here today, knowing that I'll be presenting the Modern Pause, which is one of my favorite workshops to you guys, I know that every ounce of it is going to be completely different than I had intended to, because there is this collective desire for something more. And that's why we're all here today, right? Because we want a little bit more than just to reduce stress and to reduce anxiety. We also crave deep connection with those around us. And so there's a lot of energy in this room. There's a lot of energy at the convention center today. And for all of us, I'm assuming it can be a little intense sometimes to be around a bunch of strangers, but knowing that we're all kind of here for the same thing, to connect with each other, to develop tools to not only reduce the stress, the worry, the doubt in our lives, but also to develop tools to amplify our lives. And so that's what meditation has been to me. Can I just get a show of hands? How many of you have meditated before? That makes me so happy. I'm with my people. And how many of you have a daily meditation practice? Amazing. Awesome. So by the end of this workshop, my intention is that we're all going to have a daily meditation practice, and we're all going to be inspired and craving the practice of sitting, because we know how powerful it truly is. So before we jump into the practice, I want to share a little bit about myself. Michelle did a beautiful job doing that already, but when I was 16 years old, my mom and I were evicted from our home and forced to live out of friends' houses, neighbors, and put on food stamps. And growing up in Agora in Calabasas, if anyone knows where that is, it's also where the Kardashians live, so it's a very affluent area. And for me as a 16-year-old, it was incredibly confusing to be surrounded by so much wealth, but have absolutely nothing. And over time, what that did was create these deep-rooted beliefs that I wasn't enough unless I was constantly working. I wasn't enough unless I had the perfect relationship, the perfect job, enough money in my bank account. And by 22 years old, I had the dream job. I was making way more money than any of my friends who had gone to college. I didn't even go to college, and was suffering from severe corporate burnout. And the stress that I felt had sent me into a state of chronic inflammation. So I had chronic migraines. I would have migraines every other week for anywhere from 48 to 72 hours. If anyone's had a migraine before, you know that it is not just a headache, it is the most painful thing on the planet. And outside of that, my eyesight started deteriorating. And I didn't think that I was stressed out. I actually thought that this was completely normal. My life was to go to work 10 to 12-hour days, go home, drink, and then start over again. Is anyone familiar with that rinse and repeat cycle? It's fun, right? It wasn't fun at all. And call it an intuitive awakening, but there was one day when I was on the phone with my mom. I had just been offered a promotion at my company. And I had this thought come up that there was never going to be an amount on a paycheck that would actually create happiness in my life. And it was this really big turning moment for me where I started to get really curious about what actually drove me, what caused love and fulfillment and joy in my life. And it was the beginning of this path that set me down tools like yoga and meditation, journaling and affirmation, and all of those really beautiful holistic tools that can support us in understanding who we are and what we're meant to do on this planet. Has anyone had that kind of story of kind of awakening? Show of hands, yeah. Yeah, so that's beautiful. It makes me so happy to hear that there's so many people that have had, maybe if it was hitting rock bottom, but had some sort of awakening where they knew that they were meant to be doing something more. And yoga was beautiful for me. However, I noticed that with my intense personality, I wanted something more. I have very type A masculine energy where I want to do. And so when I found meditation, it was the practice of simply being. And it was completely different than what I had been exposed to throughout my entire life. I think what we're all thought we're meant to be doing, we're shown by so many different areas of our lives, whether it's media, friends, family, that we're supposed to just continue working, and only then will we be considered successful or fulfilled. And so meditation took me away from that. And it became so much more than just a tool for stress relief. It became this container in which I was able to really explore the inner workings of my mind, understand and peel back the layers of all of the conditioning that had happened to me over my childhood, and start to just question what I thought to be true. And so today in this workshop, The Modern Pause, we are looking at how we can not only use meditation as this tool to, make us feel less stressed, a little bit less worried, a little bit more present, but also how can we use meditation to question what we've been told, to choose new beliefs, new empowering beliefs that make us feel confident and loved and happy, and start to really transform our lives. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Awesome. So why daily meditation? I asked you guys a little bit earlier, who meditates every single day? And the practice of daily meditation is ultimately to create a container in which we can really get to know ourselves and check back in with ourselves. There's so many things that can happen throughout a day. You wake up, you can get on your phone and start scrolling through social media or scrolling your inbox, and you can immediately lose that connection to yourself. And so meditation is our opportunity to connect back to ourselves. It is our opportunity to give ourselves the love, the nourishment, and the presence that we truly deserve but have neglected to give ourselves for so long. And so in this workshop, we're going to go through the meditation practice, and then at the end of the meditation, I will give you a couple tools to help support you through establishing a daily meditation practice. And I also want this to be interactive too. Obviously, I like seeing a show of hands, but I also want to encourage you to ask questions. Ask about what comes up in your experience. I'll be talking about a couple different things that can potentially come up for you, but know that the more that you give, the more that you get. So I just invite you over the next few minutes as we start to shift into our meditation practice to really allow yourself to show up 110% for yourself, not for anybody else, not for me, just for yourself. Sound good? Amazing. So we're all just going to stay seated. And if it's more comfortable for you to lean back against the side of the wall or even sit down on the ground, I'm not very strict in the fact where I think you need to have an upright spine. I'd rather you be comfortable. Comfort is way more important. That's how we show up to our daily meditation practice. So as we start to settle into this space, know that set yourself up to be really comfortable here. And there's a couple seats up here too, if anyone's in the back and wants to sit down. So the technique that we'll be doing today is a simple being technique, which means that we don't really need to do anything except be. We'll be using a mantra in this technique, which is a sound that when thought effortlessly causes the mind and the body to fall into a rested state. The mantra that we'll use in this technique is aham, A-H-A-M, aham. If you'd prefer, you can say the words I am instead. The way to think the mantra inside the mind is effortlessly, allowing it to pulse as if it's going almost by itself. And if at any point you find yourself distracted, maybe feeling the need to open your eyes or fidget or move, allow yourself to do so, but acknowledge it and come back to the mantra. Resistance can come up in so many different ways in meditation, because gosh, to be with ourselves and be through discomfort, it's not comfortable. So just notice it when it comes up, and gently guide yourself back with compassion. Sound good?
Yes.
Awesome. So if you haven't already, allow your eyes to close. And without changing anything at all, start to turn your awareness towards your breath. Notice the state of your inhale and the state of your exhale. Notice how you are breathing. Can you feel your breath deep in the lower belly? Or maybe it's a little bit shorter, just in the chest. Our breath is a direct reflection of our emotional state. When we can notice the state of our breath, we can also notice the emotions that are rising. The longer and the slower that we breathe, the softer the emotions begin to create. Peace, calm, surrender comes from an intentionally long breath in and breath out. So in this space, can you begin to elongate your inhales and your exhales? Breathing deeply into the lower belly, drawing the breath all the way up into the chest. And taking an exhale softly to release. Good, deep breath in and out. Continue deepening your breath just like this. Start to scan your body and notice if there's any places where you're still holding tension. You may notice it in your shoulders, your jaw, between the brow. Completely let go. Now begin to think the mantra aham inside the mind. Allowing it to gently pulse. Keeping your awareness soft. If at any point the mind begins to wander, gently guide it back to the mantra. And I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Keeping your eyes closed. Gently let go of the mantra and start to bring your awareness back into your physical body. Notice the heaviness of your sits bones connected to the chair beneath you or the floor beneath you. In this space, I invite you to simply ask yourself, what is it that I need? What is it that I need to show up fully as my best self for the rest of this day, this weekend? And just taking note of what comes up for you. What guidance you hear when you create enough stillness to truly listen. Begin to deepen your breath. Inhaling deeply into the lower belly, allowing the breath to create a wave-like motion throughout the entire torso. Noticing the sensations your breath causes with every inhale and every exhale. How does it feel to be this connected and this present? We'll close our practice with 3 cleansing breaths. So take a deep inhale through the nose, fill up the belly, rib cage, chest. Open mouth, exhale to release. Beautiful. 2 more just like that. Deep breath in. Open mouth, exhale to release. Good, last time, deep inhale. Open mouth, exhale. Before you open your eyes, start to integrate small movements back into your body, wiggling your fingers, maybe tapping your thumb to each fingertip, dropping your right ear to your right shoulder, your left ear to your left shoulder. And in your own time, tucking your chin down towards your chest, allowing for just a sliver of light to peek between the eyelids, taking your gaze back up to neutral to conclude your meditation practice. How are we feeling? Good. So that was about a 10-minute practice. And when we talk about integrating meditation into our daily routine, at least for me, when I first started, I thought that I would have to be meditating for an hour every single day in some yoga shala or in a special meditation room in order to really get the benefits. But the truth is, we can meditate for even 5 minutes a day and see a huge difference with our mental state, our emotional state, and the way in which we respond to all of life's experiences. And so the beauty of meditation is that it really shift us into this responding state versus this reactive state. We learn the tool of breathing, of slowing down, of creating space within the container that we all just created so beautifully together. But it's not just for here. We don't meditate just for the eyes closed experience. We meditate for the eyes open experience. We meditate for when we walk out those doors and when we meet other people throughout the day, so we can make eye contact with them, so we can be present with them when they're sharing about what they're excited for today. So did anyone have any trouble dropping into that meditation? You can just raise your hand if it felt like you had a lot going on in your mind today. Yeah, that's okay. So when I first started meditating, I'll give you my top 3 excuses. I don't have enough time, I can't sit still, and I've got way too much going on in my mind. Anyone else? Any of those? Yeah, I know, we're all guilty of it, come on. But the truth is that meditation creates more time. When we can implement even a 10-minute practice into our morning routine, we create more time because we create more presence, we create more awareness, we create the ability to focus rather than feel like multitasking and having our mind go in 5 million different places at once. And so when we give ourselves the 10 minutes or 20 minutes, which is only about 3 to 5% of your day for your brain, which is involved in everything that you do. So when we take that time, we create more time for ourselves. Does that make sense? Perfect. So, excuse number 1, done. So excuse number 2, I can't sit still. Beautiful. When we are meditating, usually in the beginning, and I'm sure some of you that have been meditating for a while, or maybe those of you that just started, kind of had that same thing. I can't really sit still. I want to fidget a lot. I don't know what to do with my hands. When we can't sit still in our meditation practice, it is simply our body and our brain's release of all of the stress, all of the tension that we've built up over time. And so when we are sitting in meditation and we feel the need to fidget, or maybe we want to look somewhere and see what time it is, or we have an itch and we want to scratch it, it's simply our body releasing stress. It's releasing the stress. So know that when you are fidgeting, that doesn't make you a bad meditator. There's no such thing as bad meditation or bad meditator. There's ungratifying experiences and gratifying experiences, but every single meditation is unique to you, and every single meditation is just as powerful as the last. And so when we have those times of wanting to fidget or move around, or even a ton of thoughts coming up in our head, it's simply our body's way of releasing the stress, good stress or bad stress. And so I promise you, if you sit for 10 minutes a day, even 10 minutes a day, you will notice over time that yes, you will not want to fidget as much anymore, and the mind will have more space between each thought. But we're human, and we go through human experiences, and so that means that our meditation practice is going to meet us wherever we're at that day. So as far as taking everything that we talked about in today's workshop, I really invite you guys to simply just find a style and a practice that works best for you. The meditation that works best for you is the one that you do, not the one that you don't do. And so if that means that you're going to start meditating for 5 minutes a day and make it a non-negotiable that before you check your email or before you go on Facebook or social media, you're going to set a timer on your phone for 5 minutes, perfect. I would much rather see everyone meditating for 2 to 3 minutes or 5 minutes a day rather than only meditating once a week for 20 minutes a day, because it's the consistent daily practice that means the most. So it's taking everything that we learned and knowing, yes, these experiences of showing up for a day-long conference are beautiful, but it's what we do on a daily basis that makes the biggest difference. And so what is it that you can promise yourself today to really impact your life? So it's not, again, just impacting your levels of stress, but also creating a space for yourself to be able to ask those questions like, what do I need? How can I show up and be 110% of me? How can I take these things that are coming into my head during meditation and not only have the idea, but create action out of it? Because when we get into the space of stillness, our mind and our highest self and our best self wants to speak through us. That's where I get my greatest ideas. And ultimately, if we create the space and the stillness and remove the distraction, remove the noise, we get to truly check in and ask ourselves, what do we need? And when the answer comes up, then it's up to us to make the choice to fulfill it. And so when we do that on a daily basis, we are constantly being reminded of our power and of our ability to really know that we have all of the tools inside of us, know that we have all of the answers inside of us. It just takes slowing down enough and enough stillness for us to really listen and not be distracted by everything else that's going on in our lives. So does anyone have any questions about meditation itself or meditation practice or even the meditation that we did today? Yes?
I have a question. Your practice.
Yes.
Could you just explain to us a little bit about what works for you? Do you practice in the morning or in the afternoon or in the evening?
Yeah.
And how do you, you talked about having the time. Something I struggle with, probably a lot of others, is just sitting down. Once I'm sitting, I feel great and I love it, but it's just that first start, and maybe any tips or tricks on how to actually
resistance.
Just to sit. And once I'm sitting, I'm fine, but any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm the type of person that I have to get so far out of alignment that I crave getting back into alignment, and so I go so far without meditating or without doing any tools of mindfulness that I realize how far off track I've been. And so it took me getting to that point 2 years ago in my own life and having so much stress to really realize how much I needed the practice. So sometimes it takes that much, but for me, the ways in which I move through resistance every single morning is to just make it the path of least resistance. So I don't, like I said, I don't set up a fancy yoga space in my house or meditation space in my house. I will, if I know that I'm feeling a lot of resistance in the morning, I will sit up in bed and just meditate right there and turn my timer on my phone. And I know a lot of meditation teachers will say, no, you should create space between your sleeping state and your meditation, but I am a big proponent of meditating. And if that means that you're gonna meditate if you just sit up in bed and it's the first thing that you do before you do anything else, then perfect. I think you'll find the practice and the container that works best for you. So I would suggest starting there, saying, okay, the first thing that I'm going to do in the morning, I will grab my phone, but I'm going to grab my phone to put my meditation timer on. And then once I do that, once I do my meditation, then I'm going to move throughout my day, and then I can check my email, or then I can go on Instagram. So for me, it's just making it the path of least resistance. If you feel the resistance come up after you get out of bed and brush your teeth and take a shower, then maybe do it right before you get in the shower. I meditate every morning for 10 to 20 minutes, depending on how much time I have, and I've also set myself up to make sure that I don't have any appointments or anything until 9 a.m. And so I wake up at 6:45 and I have about an hour and 15 before I have to hit the road and go. And that's been the most helpful for me to just make sure that I have enough space to eat breakfast, meditate for at least 10 to 15 minutes, and do everything else in the morning. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think we want to complicate these practices. We want to hear that one revolutionary thing. We want Dave Asprey up here telling us the way to biohack our lives. But with meditation, it's so simple. And I believe that it's the resistance that comes up in our minds, our ego, the fear that comes up in our minds, that tries to make it more complicated than it needs to be. But if you just tell yourself, you know what, I'm gonna wake up in the morning and just sit down for 10 minutes, I'm not even gonna get out of bed, then it's gonna just become a consistent practice. And you're gonna find that state of, oh my gosh, this feels so good. This feels amazing. I'm in my meditation practice. I'm doing it so much faster. And every single morning you're just reminded of that, You're reminded the moment that you close your eyes. Yes?
Going back to fidgeting, when I first started meditating, I did it a lot, and you're right, it kind of slows down a little bit. What do you recommend? Because at first it was oh my God, I can't stop, what's wrong with me? And now I'm being more accepting to the fidgeting. what do you do? Like I started today, like for example, like this chair is not that comfortable, but I was like, okay, I am so like it brought me back.
Yeah.
But what is like the best way that you recommend besides the like mantra?
Yeah, the beauty of the mantra is that it's like a gentle awareness rather than like, that's like true meditation and not just like a mindfulness meditation, but focusing on your breath, so your inhale and your exhale. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing to fix. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you. And throughout our lives, like I said, different things happen throughout our lives. And so you might get to a point of meditating every single day and be like, oh, I'm not fidgeting anymore, I'm super still. And then something happens. And then your body just needs to release the stress. And so rather than looking at it as something's wrong with you, say, oh my gosh, thank you, body. Thank you for doing this for me. I'm releasing this stress in this meditation. This is incredible. And just approaching yourself with compassion. And recognizing when the resistance comes up, because that's all that it is. Resistance is the fear, the distractions, the, oh my God, this chair is so uncomfortable. And saying, isn't that interesting? Look at how my mind is doing that. And just getting curious and playful with it, because your mind is always going to list a million reasons why you can't sit still and why you can't be or access a deep meditation. So if we just look at it and play with it, then it creates this lightness and this compassion and this curiosity. And when we ask these questions and just allow ourselves to be really playful with it, it creates an open dialogue rather than a judgmental, why am I not good at this meditation, or I can't drop in, or this chair isn't comfortable. It's just, isn't that interesting? My mind's doing that again. Silly mind. Yeah, of course. Any other questions? Yes.
Hi. So
I'll get you next.
I'm very new to meditation, and I realize I start feeling this very euphoric feeling, and then I feel this really heavy feeling in my chest where I can't breathe.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I'm breathing incorrectly, or, I mean, even now my chest feels very tight, although I feel very free and loose.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what that is or where that's coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have 3 lobes of our lungs, and when we are in a state of stress or anxiety, or our sympathetic state, so our fight or flight, our breath moves up to here, and it's just right here. And so that's why I asked you guys at the beginning of practice, where's your breath right now? How does it feel? Without changing it at all, how does it feel? Then we can notice, okay, I'm just breathing in and out of my chest, and you can do this right now, like just try and breathe just in your chest. It doesn't feel good at all. You can feel yourself moving into a state of anxiety. So in your meditation, if you notice that, you feel the tightness and the heaviness, what I always do, hand on my heart, hand on my belly. You guys might have seen me before I came up on stage, just hand on my heart, hand on my belly, really intentionally breathing first into the belly, rib cage, chest, about 4 to 5, a count of about 4 or 5 to just slow the breath down, because what we're doing is sending the body back into parasympathetic stage. And so that's the rest and digest, or as one of my teachers calls it, stay and play. And so when we are able to balance our nervous system, then that's where we get to have fun, because we're not so stressed out, we're not so, we don't have that responsive, oh my gosh, I'm under attack right now, because you're not under attack. And so that's kind of the beauty of meditation and of breath work, is that we get to take ourselves out of the fight or flight, which is causing and inflammation and way more stress than we need, back into that state of rest and digest, where we're actually flooding the body with alkaline chemicals like dopamine and serotonin, which are anti-aging and anti-inflammation. And so use your breath, just hand on your heart, hand on your belly, and just send yourself some love while you're doing that. And again, it's the same thing of the curiosity of, isn't it interesting how I felt this euphoric state, and then my body immediately tried to take me out of it. Isn't that so funny? All right, you had a question as well? You're welcome.
I guess similar to hers. So what am I supposed to feel? What am I aiming to achieve, being such a beginner?
Yeah.
So I don't want to necessarily be asleep, but do I want to be slightly in my space?
So I'm not going to tell you what you should experience, because every single meditation is different. Every single, like you're gonna have if you meditate tomorrow, it's gonna feel different than it did today, and the next day, and the next day.
daily?
Every single day, yeah. For so long, I thought that a good meditation meant that I was not supposed to have any thoughts. And then I realized, I was like, why am I always thinking? I'm always thinking. And upon that realization, I just allowed myself to surrender into the notion that like I just am a thinker, and in my meditation practice is where I get to be most creative and most playful. And so your meditation is going to look different every single time. Sometimes you will have that euphoric state where your body feels really light and maybe tingly under that first layer of your skin. Sometimes your meditation is going to feel a lot more tense and as if you're releasing that stress, even if you went into it not feeling stressed out. And so there's no right or wrong meditation. There's no bad or good meditation. They're gratifying experiences or ungratifying experiences. And so, like I mentioned before, it's not so much that we meditate for the eyes closed experience. Instead, it's that we meditate for what happens when we open our eyes, so that we're more present with the people that are around us. And so we're more focused on our work, so we're more creative, so we don't have such anxious or stressful thoughts. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Awesome. Cool. I have time for one more question. Yes?
I've always gotten a little confused. Is it just the silence and being in silence and listening to your breath? Or is it like affirmations or, because I found myself thinking I am, and then I do an affirmation.
I love that.
I was breathing, but I didn't know if I should just be in complete silence.
Yeah, so affirmations, if you add, let's say, I am confident, or I am fearless to the end of it, it becomes an affirmation meditation, whereas the mantra-based is a meditation, it's not mindfulness. So when we're focusing on our breath, that's a mindfulness technique of having that really specific point of focus, rather than just a gentle conscious awareness. And so whichever way you're going to be in the meditation, that's going to leave you feeling a little bit more balanced by the end of it, maybe a little bit more euphoric, or just feeling as if you want to show up the next day to meditate, is how I would suggest you meditating. Again, I am not the type of person to say you should meditate just this way, because I think that we all need to start where we're at and use the tools that we have and do what we can. And so if you feel that throughout your meditation, moving through, okay, I am, okay, now I'm focusing on my breath, and that's keeping you in this space of just feeling more present and more aware, then perfect. I do that all the time, where I'll mix different styles of meditation in one sit, where I'll focus on the mantra and then focus on my breath and then maybe focus on a body part. And what it does is inspire me to keep sitting and keep meditating, rather than feeling like I have to show up and do the same exact thing every single day, because I just think that our journey with meditation is so uniquely our own. And so when you can find whatever works best for you, I say stick with it, and know that that is your special prescription for showing up to your meditation cushion or your bed every single day. Does that make sense? Yeah. Cool. Awesome. So just to close out, I hope that this inspires you to know that this practice is yours. And yes, I am a meditation teacher, and yes, I'm going to teach you different tools to meditate. However, as I mentioned, use the tools that you have. Start where you are, and do what you can to incorporate this into your life in a way that really fulfills you and leaves you craving the practice, leaves you aware and knowing that by showing up for yourself on a daily basis, you are doing so much more than just sitting. You are increasing your presence. You are increasing your connection to yourself and to others. You are tapping into creativity. And you are creating enough space to ask the right questions to allow you to show up as your best self. So thank you all so much for being open to the practice with me. If you have any questions, I'll be hanging out for a little bit. And if you want to continue meditating with me, I teach meditation, which is an online app, and the beauty of the practice is that it is a live meditation every single day, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Standard Time, and the community is so beautiful. We get to meditate with, yes, Journey Meditation, yeah. So the beauty of it is kind of like the Peloton of meditation. So we get to meditate together daily, ask questions, talk about different themes and practices that come with mindfulness and meditation. So journey meditation. I also have, as Michelle mentioned, my podcast, The Alchemized Life, where I talk to different wellness leaders and coaches and authors and teachers and get to discuss all of this stuff at length. I am such a nerd when it comes to personal development, spirituality, and mindfulness, and can talk about it for hours. So thank you all so much for having me. Truly, I'm so grateful and such an honor to be able to leave these tools with you guys. It is the one single most tool that has impacted my life, and so I hope that it does the same for each of you. Thank you.